I am a cis-gendered female, so my preferred gender pronoun is she or her.
Him and he.
I use both the pronouns he and him, and also the pronouns she and her.
She and her.
Miss and her and she.
My preferred pronouns are she, her, hers.
She, her, and in fact I hadn't really thought of them until you asked me.
My pronouns are they, them, their.
I consider my pronouns to be he or him.
My pronouns are he and him. That's because I'm a cisgendered male.
I use the pronouns they and them.
She, her. But having said that, my mother always said, who's she, the cat's mother? It was a phrase that she used back then. So I tend not to try to use she or her. If I'm talking about somebody else that I think is a she or a her, I will tend to use their name.
So cisgendered means I identify with the gender I was born with at birth rather than being transgendered. So it's an umbrella term for people who have transitioned, who are transitioning, or who have made the decision to transition between genders.
So I identify as non-binary, meaning that I don't feel like a particularly strong affinity to either like being a man or being a woman. And I have tried being a man, didn't really feel right. I've tried like doing more like being a woman, also didn't feel right. So the path that I've chosen has been like, and where I felt most comfortable is like trying to accept both sides of that binary and try and like live both of them in varying amounts depending on my vibe.
There's no right way to be non-binary or no right way to be genderqueer. You can be sort of female assigned at birth and female presenting and still be non-binary. You can be male-bodied and present as female and still be non-binary. Like there's no right way of being it, and it's entirely up to however people feel comfortable to present themselves.
I think it's a matter of respect. Like if you ask me to call you Danny instead of Daniel, like I'm just going to do that because that's what you want and that's part of your identity and that's a no-brainer.
It just is. It's just really important. It's like fundamental to be recognised for who you are and to be seen for how you want to be seen.
It's a reflection on my gender.
People have the right, everybody has the right to identify the way they choose to identify and therefore to be referred to in that manner.
I think fundamentally referring to people by their correct pronouns is like a matter of respect.
I think it's about respect and respecting people's differences.
So to me it's really important, even when people forget and then correct themselves. That's a way of showing that you accept me and that you accept me as part of the group and as part of the organisation and that you want me to be comfortable.
For me personally, I identify as a female, so if somebody was to call me a male, I'd be quite offended.
The way that I tend to feel misgendered is more weirdly when people will refer to me like as a man rather than with specific pronouns.
But when I look back at my younger days, when I was referred to quite often as a boy, he, I remember how upsetting it was.
It feels like, I don't know, like kind of like a sinking feeling.
And it feels just like they're referring to a person that isn't me. It feels like they can't see the person that I am.
And also it had an effect on my sense of myself.
Obviously I understand that sometimes people make mistakes, but when people sort of don't even try or when people are dismissive of it, it tells me that you don't care about me and that you don't understand who I am and you don't want to find out about me, and that feels very hurtful. So I think the best way is to, first of all, ask people. So in the same way as you'd ask what's your name, it's great if you also ask me what your pronoun is. But also when they introduce themselves, giving their pronoun, it makes it more normal for that to be something that we consider when you first meet someone, and it also makes it a lot easier to remember if you find out someone's pronoun when you first meet them as well.
You ask people their names, to repeat myself, but you ask the things that
they want you to know anyway. I don't think it's rude to ask what people want to be referred to as.
One of the simplest and easiest things to do to make non-binary people specifically, but also a lot of trans people in general, feel more comfortable is normalising the practice of asking people what their pronouns are or what pronouns they prefer to use. It's not a very difficult thing to do, doesn't take very long. If everybody uses the pronouns that you would have expected based on how we gender people in our society, then no harm, no foul, you've wasted 3 seconds of conversation. And at best, you've really helped somebody feel like they're welcome in a space.